Hey, this is Mr. Ward, and this is your Algebra Exit Ticket 30.1 video key. So let's take a look at what we've got. So we've got this trinomial here, 5n squared plus 19n plus 12. And if we take the 5 here and the 12 here and we multiply them together, we get 60. So the question is, what factors of 60 would add up to the 19 from the 19n? Because that's going to help us figure out how to factor this. So I'm going to make my nice little x. So 5 times 12 gets us 60. And I need two factors of 60 that add up to 19. Okay, well, 60 is, of course, 6 times 10, but 6 plus 10 doesn't get it. So I need to come up with something else. 4 times 15 works as 60, and 4 plus 15 does work for 19. So 4 and 15. Let's go with that. Okay, so, and for full disclosure, I am doing all of this with a kitten climbing me. So if something weird happens on the keyboard, that's why, because he has decided the keyboard is to be attacked. Okay, so we've got 4 and 15, because 4 times 15 equals 60, and 4 plus 15 equals 19. And that's going to help us out. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that 4 and that 15, which make a 19. We're going to split the 19n up into those two things. And then we've got a 4-term thing. We group the first 2 terms, and then we group the second 2 terms, and we look for common factors. We're going to see if we can get this and this to factor out until they are the same. So let's see if we can do that. So 5n squared plus 4n plus 15n plus 12. Let me copy pasta that for the next line. And let's look at the common factors. So on this one, 5 and 4 do not share a common factor, but n squared and n do. So let's pull out an n. So n squared becomes n becomes 1. So we're just left with 5n plus 4 in the middle in there. Now, 15 and 12 do share a common factor, and the common factor is 3. So I'm going to pull out a 3, and 15 will become a 5, and 12 will become a 4. And I can't factor any n's out, so I think I can't get any more there. But look at that. I've got a 5n plus 4 and a 5n plus 4, so I can use the distributive property. So 5n plus 4 is a factor that's shared by n and 3. So I can make it a factor of the sum of n plus 3. And I have factored that quadratic. When you multiply that out, it will work. Let's try the same thing here. We've got 2n squared plus 3n minus 9. And we're going to multiply the 2 times the negative 9 at the end. And we're going to look for 2 factors of what we get. So 2 times negative 9, and that's going to get us negative 18. And we want 2 factors of that add up to our middle coefficient, which is positive 3. Well, negative, that's going to be a negative and a positive. So I'm going to put a negative here and a positive here. So what are 2 factors of 18 that are going to add up to 3? Well, 6 times 3 works for 18. Since I'm getting a positive 3, I'm going to need this to be negative 3 and this to be positive 6, because if I add those together, I'll get positive 3. And if I multiply them, I'll get negative 18. So negative 3 and positive 6, because negative 3 plus 6 equals 3, and negative 3 times 6 equals negative 18. So we're good. All right, so if you said that, that's great. So I've broken up the 3n into 6n minus 3n. That's the same thing as 3n. And I've grouped them like this. We're going to see if we can come up with common factors, factor out this and factor out this, and see if we end up with the same factor here and here. So I'll write it all in. 2n squared plus 6n plus negative 3n minus 9. Now let's copy pasta that and see what we get. Okay. Over here, I can pull a 2 out of 2 and 6. Factor 2 out of there. That becomes a 1. 6 becomes a 3. And I can also pull out an n. N from n squared. N squared becomes just n. And n divided by n is just 1. I can also pull out a negative 3. I could also pull a 3. Pulling out a negative 3, it turns out, will work better here because my goal is to end up with n plus 3 here. If I just pull out a 3, I'll end up with negative n minus 3. So let's pull out a negative and change the signs in here. And there we have it. We have n plus 3 and we have n plus 3. So they both share n plus 3. I should say 2n and negative 3 share n plus 3 as a factor. So I'll do n plus 3. And then I'm going to say 2n minus 3. And we have factored that bad boy. I hope that helped clear a few things up. And let me know how things went for you today.